Since day one, at least among us rideshare drivers, the question has always been, why is a company like Uber with millions of drivers constantly saying they're in the red, they're not turning a profit? Let's talk about it. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed you got Tim with another ride sharing video. So how could a huge company like Uber, whose primary overhead is just a damn app, not turn a profit? I'll tell you why. When you look at the amount of folks that invested in Uber and where the money has went, it should be apparent why they are continuing to chase the original investors and why they're having a hard time turning a profit. And by the way, the reason your ass don't get paid much as a driver is because they're constantly trying to please the shareholders and return the investment. Most of us already know the taxi business put up a hell of a fight in the early 2000s trying to prevent Uber from permeating different cities across the country. Uber was buying off politicians back then, buying their way into the business, paying off people under the table, and a lot of that shit came out of the investments. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Why the hell can't they turn a profit? As a rideshare driver myself, off and on since 2014, I've done story after story after story of Uber paying huge lawsuits for bad business practices. If there is one reason why Uber continues to hemorrhage money, some in the case of Lyft, but particularly Uber, why they are hemorrhaging money is because they don't know how to get their shit together and actually treat people right. In the beginning, they were telling drivers, if you come drive for Uber, drivers are averaging $90,000 per year. Just flat out bullshit. A complete lie. Federal Trade Commission got on their ass. They ended up having to pay $20 million for that. They've paid lawsuits because they were stealing tips from drivers. Earlier this year, $328 million in New York to drivers just in that one damn area. $328 million they had to pay back to drivers because they were not refunding their tolls and were withholding fares and wages from the drivers. Lack of background checks in the beginning, resulting in passengers being violated sexually, some losing their lives, resulted in huge payoffs. California and Massachusetts right now has a $100 million class action suit in place because they are reclassifying drivers. These are big ass triple-digit million-dollar lawsuits hitting Uber countless time after time after time, all in a span of about a decade. They're constantly under these lawsuits that they're having to pay out. That's one of the reasons why us drivers are getting paid like fucking slaves, because they are a horrible business partner. You and the passenger, or better yet, you and Uber team up to provide a service to your passengers. The Uber is a contractor, you as a driver is a subcontractor. You are in a partnership together to deliver that service to the passenger. Your partner, the subcontractor, Uber, they just practice bad fucking business. And the goal is to somehow throw you under the bus in the end. And last but not least, right now, one of the biggest issues that drivers are starting to speak out about is the fact that we are being punished for declining bullshit trips. Trips that are not profitable, trips that take you to areas that you don't want to go, trips that as an independent contractor, you shouldn't have to do. But Uber is finding ways continually. Now, they've been doing this shit since the beginning. They've constantly been denying it, but they are still doing it right now as we speak, finding ways to punish drivers that do not take trips that are not in their best interest. As an independent contractor, you should have the freedom to pick and choose what jobs are profitable to you. If you're an independent plumber, you wouldn't drive 200 miles to do a plumbing job that paid $50. It's not profitable. You have the right to decline that. Uber, since the very beginning, whether they have these platinum, diamond status tiers you can climb up, and if you decline trips, you fall back down, that's punishing you. That is punishing you. You can't even dial customer service 24 hours a day because you didn't accept enough trips. That is punishing you. Now they're coming up with a complete measure of locking you the fuck out of the app. literally locking you out of the app, signing you out, and in some cases preventing you from even signing back in because you didn't take enough bullshit trips. Remember, Uber and Lyft, particularly Uber, is taking as much as 80% of some fares. So if you're taking 80% of a fare, there's going to be a hell of a lot of trips that are not profitable for the driver. Unfortunately, even to this day, a lot of passengers do not realize how much Uber takes from the fare. But if I've actually talked to passengers and told them that, imagine what you're paying, 80% of that is not going to the driver. Even if it's 50%, the passengers are outraged because once again, they even realize all Uber is providing is a fucking app. What's justifying them taking that much of the fare? And in most cases, with most fares on most trips, Uber always takes more than 50%. It's rare to hear of a trip where the driver got more of the fare than Uber did. I don't know if they even do that anymore. So even the passengers are outraged when they hear about it, which is why I always suggest letting your passengers know fair conversations anytime you can engage in one. Anytime you can shift the conversation to the fare, even if it's just a pleasantry. How much does a trip cost you? Or I see you take this trip every day. What do they charge you? Try to make yourself a private client or a private customer out of that. I can take you here every day. If you're going to school every day or you're going to work every day and you're requesting an Uber every day and I hear you're paying $12 a day, I'll do that trip for you every day for $7. Most likely you may make a private client out of that. It's very important to try to do that because when they're taking 50 to 80% of the fare, there's a hell of a lot of room to give the passenger a huge discount while also making probably double what you normally make because their take is so big. Cutting them out the picture frees up a ton of money. Obviously, Uber, if they find out, they'll punish you. They'll kick you off the app. We get that. But at the end of the day, if you can make private clients and avoid some of these $3 and $4 trips, do that shit. But I just wanted to run this by you because folks are still wondering, how the hell can a company with millions of drivers still not be profitable after being around for a decade? And it is simple as that. They are bad business partners. They have bad ethics and they're constantly being caught up. The next biggest lawsuit, probably coming in one of the Democratic areas like California, Washington, Michigan, any of these Democratic states that's constantly going after them, is reclassifying drivers as employees. There is no denying that Uber is referring to us as independent contractors for the benefits that they get by not having to give you any of the provisions under labor laws, unemployment, workers' comp. They don't have to give you anything that an employer would have to give you. But when it comes to your actual performance on the job, they're demanding you perform like an employer would. So they're classifying you as an independent contractor when it benefits them. And then when they need you to work and take bullshit fares and go above and beyond, they're treating you like an employee, meaning that they can punish you for not doing things they want you to do. As an independent contractor, they should not be able to do that. But we all know if you decline trips with Uber or Lyft, eventually they're going to do something to you. Drop your status in the tiers, slow down in giving you trips. Some of you folks who do airport trips, which I don't fuck with at all, but some of you folks who do airport trips, they'll put you to the back of the queue, whatever the case may be. If you decline trips, bad shit will happen to you at the behest of Uber. And they continue trying to deny they're doing it when every driver out here knows they're doing it. That is the next lawsuit, class action lawsuit that's going to come down the pipe, particularly for drivers who are getting completely signed out of the app and finding that they have a hard time signing back in. The obvious claim is, while you took me out of the app and I couldn't sign in for 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, all of that lost revenue is what they're going to be pursuing from the rideshare companies in court. And they're going to win. They're going to win. There's too many drivers that can show clear-cut examples, including myself. I got logged out the other fucking day for declining about 5 trips that were all bullshit in a row. So we know it happens. And it's happening all over the country. So it's not some kind of glitch in the app or some of that bullshit. As I stated before, we know they've been blocking or punishing drivers for declining trips from day one. So it's not some type of glitch. It's done on purpose. They want you to take that bullshit. And if you don't take that bullshit, they want to let you know that you're going to be punished for not doing so. Let me know in the comments, though. Have you declined an ample amount of bullshit and received some form of punishment for? We need to get this conversation started. Class action suits are on the way. Once again, it is your boy. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Catch you in the next video.